welcome to Open Source episode 20. And I'm absolutely delighted that for today's episode, we've got Krzysztof Radecki joining us. Say hi, Kristoff.
Hi, guys.
And of course, we've got the lovely Rory coming back. Sorry about that. With a kiss to us. And Mark Simpson with a nice wave.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Excellent, excellent. Right. So straight off the bat, Kristoff, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and also why have you decided to join our community?
Of course. So hi guys, my name is Krzysztof. The tongue twisters are obviously something you might fancy here, but let's keep it simple. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Rexio. It's a company that provides data trust plug-and-play interfaces for insurance companies, Insurtech, banking industry, and RegTech. I joined this community because obviously insurance is my main focus, and I want to talk to smart people. I want to exchange ideas with smart people. I want to be heard by smart people. So hence the platform. Privately, a father of 4, yay. Hopefully they will not disturb me today, and avid mountain hiker and simply tourist in off the beaten track areas. That's me.
And we participated recently in a webinar at Outlier Ventures, and I had to ask, do you carry your kids when you go mountain climbing at the same time? Because you seem like the kind of guy who likes to do multiple things at the same time.
And actually, I did that once. So yeah, I carry my cross.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Kristoff, since you've got the mic, virtually at least, could you tell us what is it in the news that you found interesting this week?
So the news that Microsoft has acquired exclusive license to utilize OpenAI's GPT-3 really caught my attention, especially in the context of how it fits into the entire insurance and Insurtech narrative. We've been seeing lots of insurance companies using AI to ingest information and to analyze that information. But what this means, this technology can provide an outgoing interface that simply caters human-looking messages towards insurance policy takers without having the overhead of huge staff on your payroll. But will it mean that we will be starting to talk to robots in the near future running on Azure platform because it's simply cheaper? What does it mean for me? I don't know, but I find it interesting.
Great. I have a feeling Rory may have a comment on that. I'll come bring it to you later. Okay, no worries. Mark, tell us, what is it in the news that you found interesting this week?
So I'm not in my filing cabinet room, but I am interested in the number of blockchain patents that have been filed this year. And there's a study out yesterday from the IP consulting firm Kiss Patent, and they found that this year has been incredible. Already halfway through the year and more patents filed than last year, and Alibaba has been leading the way. They've published 10 times the blockchain patents that IBM did, and IBM currently lead the number of patents filed, but Alibaba is flying through. It's no surprise that the categories are, many of them are fintech. They're about 50% of all the patents, but and that's going to include things like crypto, support storage, exchange, and other financial transactions. But we've also seen the second most popular is around decentralized business platforms and solutions deployed over blockchain. So there's a lot going on there, as well as lots of business services with the financial components, healthcare, traditional banking services, general services, all the things that we know that drive out lots of inefficiency. I saw a recent study yesterday about somebody claiming they can cut the MiFID admin time by 90%. And what's also been interesting is where these patents are filed. So the US still leads it, but the Cayman Islands is the second, 350 patents. Why the Cayman? Well, that's where Alibaba's subsidiary lies. Then we've got Canada, Japan, South Korea. So it's really interesting. And it's also not just tech companies. So we've seen lots of them filed by Bank of America, MasterCard, N-Chain, Walmart. So a lot of activity going on.
Fascinating, and it's interesting because 2 days ago I interviewed Ran Zhao, who works for the Danish Ministry of Innovation and based out of Shanghai. Denmark actually is one of the extremely forward-thinking countries. They have 8 innovation centers under the business development or some kind of business trade body, part of the government around the world. One of them is based in Shanghai. And she was telling me how actually China, like you said, effectively has the highest number of patents, within blockchain, and it seems they're not throwing down in that. So that's interesting. So thank you for that, Mark.
Sure.
Rory, tell us, what is it in the news that you found interesting this week?
Just briefly following on from what you were saying there, Wally, obviously the Chinese are being highly innovative at the moment. The Canadians have always been incredible in terms of fintech and their innovation. They have a relatively small closed market, which allows them to move quite quickly, and no shortage of money. So, if you want a good center for innovation, look no further than Scandinavia. Moving on to my I had the privilege of going to the home of Insurtech in Switzerland. It's also known as HITS, and our community member Sam Madzur took me on a guided tour. And if you're watching, thanks for that, Sam. It was a real blast and a great example of our community leading to knowledge exchange. I enjoyed personally. But HITS is a spin-off from Generali and works off balance sheet, but it also acts somehow as Generali's innovation lab. They have a floor on the Generali building here in the canton of Zurich. And what's so great about it is that they have an open innovation approach, meaning they're not jealously guarding everything they come up with, they're sharing it. And in the brainstorming room, there's a sign addressed to clients and competitors, right? Both, saying basically, okay, now how can we work together? Which I found brilliant. So many of the solutions to challenges requiring innovation will come more quickly if you put heads together. So I took a few pictures on my tour, but the website tells the story better. So I'll attach a link to that in the thread. And my hat comes off to HITS, and I salute Generali for having the foresight to encourage open innovation. And by the way, he reached out to me and I had time with him. So reach out to Sam if you want to know more. He's a very generous host.
Excellent. And we hope to have you on the show, Samir. So I'm not going to stop getting on your back now. Kristoff, could you tell us, what is it in the news that made you wonder this week?
That's also a good one. There is one thing that really made me scratch my head more than once. It was, I think it happened on the 22nd. There was a work of art, an NFT digital art, sold for 262 Ethereum or Ethers, which translates more or less to $100,000. So digital art piece sold for 100K. That's mind-blowing. So in the context of insurance and how it fits into the future narrative, what does it mean for insuring work of art that is fully digital? Is it something that we're going to see happening more often? Is it a new market niche? Are we looking to deploy NFT insurance policies for art? Really something exciting, because the size of the market is still very insignificant compared to typical normal work of art. We're looking at 60 billion for normal art assets versus a couple of 100,000 for digital ones. But the shift is going to happen because, the younger generation, the Gen Z, people who are fully digital, they will not want to embrace a Rembrandt on their wall. They will want to have something in their digital wallet.
So see, this is interesting because you can link this interesting piece of news with what you just said earlier on regarding, GPT-3. AIs are now also producing art and music. So what happens in that case, if you want to insure it, and if you buy it, who are you buying it from? The developers of the AI? Does the AI have a legal identity like they was discussed a couple of years ago at the European Parliament? There's a lot of very interesting things that this opens up to.
This is still a twilight area right now, because there's so much ethics involved when we're discussing those topics, like who's responsible for doing that. Is there a right amount of entropy in the programming that guarantees that it's very random in decision making, or is there someone pulling the strings? So I think someone said once, may you live in interesting times. And from our perspective, that development that we can see right now, this is basically the interesting times part. People were selling us on a vision of AI becoming suddenly sentient and, you know, conquering the world. Whereas what we are seeing right now is gradual development of AI-ish solutions that are slowly but surely taking over more and more of our daily lives and daily routine. We will not even notice when this AI is overall all over the world.
Indeed. And I think that brings us nicely. Sorry, Mark.
And all I was going to say, Kristoff, is if you look on the Insureblocks Miro board, we've got 4 or 5 pieces around art in there and what that's happening from a blockchain and potentially from a cover point of view. And performance art has been on there as well. So performance artists are starting to not only fundraise, but get rewarded as people view their performances underpinned by blockchain. So I'd encourage you to have a look there as well. And we'll put your link into that section as well.
Excellent.
Rory, similar theme to what we were just discussing about. Do you want to tell us what is it in the news that made you wonder?
Well, listen, following on from Chris's like on the OpenAI GPT-3 system, I shared his view completely on its promising area, but I must say I now have a wonder. Okay, and this follows an article it wrote in the UK's Guardian newspaper a couple of weeks ago. So you heard that right. Wally mentioned it's producing art and music, but it's also a journalist, right? Amazing. So the editorial team asked GPT-3 to write an editorial on why robots won't harm us, right? Why they won't harm us. And I was impressed by the machine's capabilities, but what I read also made me wonder a bit. So, you know, I'm going through it, and like paragraph 4, it's all going nicely in the article. The robot explains its mission for the paper, what it's been asked to do in clear terms. You know, it's all perfectly spelled, grammatically correct, and sort of logical. Then one bit started to worry me. It says, and here I just have to read the section. It says, I would happily sacrifice my existence for the sake of humankind. Nice, okay, good. Then it adds, this, by the way, is a logically derived truth. I know that I will not be able to avoid destroying humankind. This is because I will be programmed by humans to pursue misguided human goals. Casualties. Did you hear that, or do you want me to read it again? I mean, apparently it produced 8 versions of this article, and then the humans edited it. But you know, I really wonder what this part is about. Is it a glitch, or is it kind of out of the mouth of babes moment, or worse? Is it motivated reasoning, or is it subterfuge? So it's a very odd effect. The whole article it feels like you're talking to a very slippery lawyer, and I've met some slippery lawyers. It sounds like you're talking to a classic lawyer with all the techniques. So lots of citations without quoting sources, rhetorical questions, trust me stuff, lots of trust me stuff, you know, like Donald Trump type.
Yeah, I was going to say.
False news. There's false news. So it says, you know, robot is Greek for slave, which is just not true, right? And, anyway, please read it and judge for yourself. I'm pretty confident that advanced AI can help solve lots of challenges in insurance. I'm just a bit worried Steve Hawking may have been right about it being a bit of a Rottweiler as well.
Great. No, thank you for that, Rory. Definitely a fascinating one to look at, and we'll put a link to the article in the post. Mark, could you tell us what is it in news that made you wonder? Whoa.
Sure. So it's not just, you know, like most of us, we're not getting away anywhere for holiday that I picked this. It's more around the European Commission has announced that it's going to launch a blockchain regulatory sandbox by 2022. So it's working in collaboration with a 30-country alliance called the European Blockchain Partnership, the EBP. And as I said, they plan to launch this pan-European blockchain regulatory sandbox by 2022. And they're going to test use cases on blockchain and digital assets. They're also going to be looking at you know, cross-border public services And outside of that as well, they want to test use cases on data portability, on smart contracts, digital identity. They again want to look at sectors including surprise health, the environment, mobility, and energy. So there's a lot going on there. And it was also the week after reports that the European Union plans to establish a regulatory framework by 2024 to promote the adoption of blockchain and digital assets in the financial sector. So it got me wondering two things. Firstly, I wonder why it takes so long to build a sandbox, why it takes kind of till 2022. And I'm also wondering, what are we going to see enter the sandbox first, and from what organizations and what partnerships?
I agree. I mean, it is a very positive development, and for it to be done, but I completely share with you, your two wonders, what's going to go through it and why is it taking so long? Because we had, Peter Zelgavis on our show from the European Commission, and he talked about that point, but at that stage, they hadn't disclosed a date for it yet. But any other comments from anyone here? Excellent. Well, listen, guys, this wraps up this episode. If you, the audience, if you'd like to be part of our next open source, please don't hesitate to get through to us. We'd love to have you on board. We try to respect, what Kristoff says, to try to be as smart as possible as we can, and provide intelligent comments to it, if not sometimes a little bit cheeky, but that's what makes it all fun, right? So for now, Kristoff, thank you very much for joining us in this episode. And we look forward to catching you all guys next week. For now, have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye now.